So I wanted to build a mobile version of my web application, but setting up a separate repo, rewriting endpoints, and keeping the backend in sync was a total headache. I'm not going to lie about that. So instead, I moved everything into a monorepo using turborepo, and now both my web and mobile application share the same API endpoint. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how to do just that. Alright, so before we talk about what a monorepo is and the steps on how you can migrate your existing repo to a monorepo, I'm going to show you the tech stack that I'm using so you have a better context, because I feel since my tech stack is different from yours, the application might be a bit different. So I'm using Next.js, and stay tuned, I'm going to show you what I'm building at the end of the video. So Next.js is a meta framework for React that just gives you all the bells and whistles that React itself as a library doesn't have. So it just extends React. Then for my backend, I'm using Convex. So in case if you don't know what Convex is, I'm just going to quickly pop that up. So say convex.dev. So basically, Convex is a reactive database, but as you can see, if I can allow this load back again, okay. So basically, it's the backend platform that keeps your app in sync. So it's a reactive database, which means everything is reactive, and it's really a nice backend as a service. And I've been using it for a couple of months now, and I'm really loving the experience, especially developer experience. I'm going to do a video about Convex later next year, but I just want you to have a little idea of what Convex is. And unlike your traditional backend that you have to set up ORMs, you have to bring in React queries so that you can catch your data that you are fetching, Convex handles all that for you out of the box. And the only downside, it's not really a downside, but the only issue I had setting up Convex with this was that all the application is stored in this, okay, I'm on the wrong folder. So this is the whole application right here. So all my endpoints, everything is on this Convex folder. They also have a web UI interface where you can keep track of all the tables that you create and what have you, which is what I think, yeah, this is the table, the Convex dashboard right here. But I don't want to spend all my time talking about Convex, but the whole application is right here. So if I delete this, everything is literally gone. I don't know if that makes sense. So now that we have a context of what I'm using, I'm still using more services as well. Like I'm using Recent for email, I'm using Paystack for payments, and other services as well. But that's for that. If you're using another backend service, it still kind of applies, because the end goal for me while migrating was to make my web and my mobile to use the same shared backend service, which is Convex, because I already have the API endpoint set up already. Alright, before I show you how you can start migrating your existing repo to a monorepo, I want to quickly just show you or tell you what a monorepo is, in case if you don't know. So basically, a monorepo is a single repository containing multiple related projects or packages, instead of having separate repos. So instead of having a different repo for your mobile application and having a separate repo for your web application, you can have everything in one place. And where turborepo makes sense now is that it allows your monorepo fast, because when you are running like an npm or rather a turbo build, is going to catch all the packages that has not yet changed. I fully don't understand it. I'm just like still learning a bit about it, but I think I have like a little idea of what it tends to solve. So now that we have a context of what a monorepo is and how turborepo complements it, the first step to do, so I'll go back to my application now. So this application, as you are seeing right here, is quite large. So if I open my web, I have like a lot of folders. So the code base is really, really big. And it's a production code base. So if your application is a production one, which I am setting that 95% it is, because if your application is not really production ready, but although you've already set it up, it's fine. And if you've not even set up a monorepo, but you want to know why you should do that, this is also a perfect video on that. So we have a lot going on. So when you are doing this kind of migration, it's good that you keep some things in place. And I'm also using a little CI CD for my deployment as well, in case anything fails too. So the first thing I will urge you to do if this is a production application is to first of all create a separate branch. So I'm showing you this branch because I've successfully migrated and everything is still working fine, but I'll just show you the branch that I did. So I created a branch called Monorepo migration. So in case you don't know how to create a branch, you just say git checkout-b, then you type the name of the repo or branch rather. So since you already have a separate branch, the other thing now that you need to do is to restructure your entire application. And the way you can do that is by setting up turborepo. So I also use Claude. I didn't do everything on top of my head, but it's just like I was going back and forth a lot with Claude because it was giving me a lot of wrong code that I needed to really evaluate. So if you're on the turborepo website, you just need to go to add to an existing repository. So this is where you select, then just come and click on add turborepo to your repository. So the first thing you need to do is to install turborepo. And like you said, they say we recommend you install turborepo both globally and into your repositories root for best developers experience. So if you're using npm, of which I was using, I would strongly advise you switch to pnpm. And what I did was that I didn't immediately switch to pnpm right out of the box because you have to set it up on okay, I think Vercel it's easy, but I have like a staging deployment on Netlify where I can push to staging and see everything works fine before pushing to the main branch that is deployed on Vercel. So in cases like that, you also need to update whatever package managers you are using. So let me go back again right here and let me just reconfigure to get rid of that. So what I did was that I used npm. So you first of all install turborepo globally, then on your root project, so everything's still happening on your root. You're not seeding into apps right now. And of course, your own setup is different from mine because if you started this with a Next.js application, you should see just apps and not even this web. Like, so you should see apps, this one right here, app and web. If you have your route set up like this, but if you don't have that, you're just going to see app and then your applications. So you would go to your root file, whatever it is, then you install turborepo or rather turbo, then you still install it like so. So the next step you do after you do this is where I'm going to switch to Claude and I'm going to show you all what I did. So we talked about creating a new branch, then restructure the repo. So this restructuring of the repo is kind of tied to the setting up the repo because once you've set up the repo, I think, yeah. So once you've done that, automatically, once you've done this, it's going to create a new apps folder. Then you have to like set or move your own application. So it's just more like, let me see if I can do it right here. So if I create, let me just say test app, like so. So this is the main apps is going to give to you. Then you have to move your, or rather you have to create like a web folder. Then inside the web folder, you push, or rather you move all your folders and files that is default on your root to the web folder, because everything is Next.js. So you just push everything inside this web folder right here. So let me get rid of this. We've talked about this part when you have to install turborepo globally, and you have to add it locally as well. Then also you need to create the monorepo structure, which is the second step. So you can follow this command. This was exactly what I did. So if you do this, make dir is going to create a new directory called apps. Then you are going to, it's going to create the web inside this app. So basically it's going to create the apps folder like so. Then it's going to create the web folder inside the apps. Then what you do is to create another folder called packages, which I did, but you can see it's different from this. So they are creating a UI folder and a source folder, and these other folders are inside it. Basically what I just did was I created a shared folder. I've still not I'm still exploring. Even my mobile folder is quite empty, but I just need to install React Native and start setting that up. But for my shared folder, I've not seen the need for that yet, but I created a backend folder. And this backend folder is from the people at Convex they created. So it's called Turbo Expo Next.js Clark. So if you want to set up like your application that has a web and a native version, you can do just that. So that's what I just did. So I used their repo as a guide as well. But I didn't do every single thing. I think they're using ER. So they aren't using PNPM. And I'm sorry if this video is all over the place. This video is just for about 2% or 3%. It's not really for everybody. So I just want to show you all the steps I did so that you don't miss any step and run into any issues. Alright, so this was the steps I followed, especially for the backend. So they created the packages folder, then created the backend folder, and created this convex folder. And as you can see, the convex folder is inside the backend folder, like so. So once you've done that, the next step now is to, okay, this is the structure they are saying it should be. I'm also using Shartian and Tailwind, but for now, all my Shartian and Tailwind stuff is on my web. I don't know yet if I'm going to share the same packages or the same components. If I'm doing so, Shartian also have like a monorepo setup as well. I'm going to go through that and also implement it, and I might likely also teach that as well. Okay, so the next thing to do is to move our existing code. So basically now is just to move all our stuff that's on our current web apps folder. So before now, your this apps folder should be outside. So it should be outside this folder. Let me just close it out. So it should be replaced. It should be on top of this app. So you also be showing app, then apps. So what you do is to you don't have to do this. You have to create like a temp folder. You just have to like do where is it at? Okay, yeah. So you move the app into the web folder. So you move these apps now. that is already in the web folder. You're going to move this app into the web folder. And all this command you are putting into your terminal right here. So it'll be this mv apps and web, I think is okay, app and apps web, like so, and / like so. So once you hit enter, automatically it's going to push it. So you don't have to do it, you have to drag it by hand. So you do it for everything. So this is just a few, but you have to go through all your files and make sure that all the default files on your own current root folder are pushed into the app folder that is inside the web folder. And the only thing that you shouldn't push is like the license, prettier, git ignore, and apart from leaving this one, each one should also have their own git ignore as well for both web, and I think my backend also have a git ignore as well too. Then also your package.json should still remain where it is, because you're going to get rid of it and restore it again. So what I did next was for the convert part, this part I didn't follow this because as you can see, it's obviously different from what I currently have. So for this one, I just created a backend folder, then I moved my convex folder into this backend folder, like so. Then I had to create like a package.json file, or rather I just did an npm run. I'm going to show you how I did that as well. Then I still a couple of steps. If you are using like a shared package where you want your own application to immediately start using the same component, you can just move those components into a folder here. So you can call that folder UI, like so, maybe UI and components. So then move those let me close it out. Then move those components, or those components inside the components folder. Then after I did that, what I did next was that I created like a new package.json, because the default one will have all the packages from what's it called, from your default Next.js. So you should see convex stuff and the likes. That's what you're going to see here. So basically, let me just go to that. So I'll say package for web. So all this stuff, that's what you are going to see currently as your own root package.json file. So it told me to create a backup. I didn't see the use of that or the need, but I actually did, but I deleted it after I've created a new one. Then as you can see, I just copied this exact thing. Then of course, when you copy, try to go through each line. So when I copied it, I think mine is showing npm. Currently it's showing pnpm. So I used npm initially, then the folders here are quite different. So you can see that this has workspaces, and this is for when you're using npm though. So basically, if you just do if I do, let me say pnpm pnpm dev web, what it's going to do is just going to spin up our web application. So it's just going to run only the web application. It's not going to run the backend. So that's what this is for. As you can see, it's using turborepo, and basically what this means is that since we have this right here, so dev web, we're basically featuring this, going into this what's it called, central web, and this central web now is coming from the package.json on the web folder. So you can see it here. So at central web, then we created then we're running this right here. So the dev script, that's what we are doing here. The backend still the same thing as well. So if I go to my package.json again, then go to backend, you should see that It's still here as well. You should see it right here. So central backend, then it's going to run the dev. And now I'm thinking I don't even need on the web version. I clearly don't need where is it at again? I clearly don't need this, but I'm still going to leave it. I'm sure I don't need this anymore. So that's what this is for. This the base package JSON it's for. And all these are not on the docs, or maybe they are there. I'm too lazy to go through them. That's why I just use Claude to bring this all up for me. So as you're seeing, they're just like telling me to change the name, so you can change the name to whatever you want. So this is to add the different workspace dependencies. So if you're using PNPM, you just need to like, let me get rid of that. Just add it like so. So with PNPM, it's quite straightforward. So you have your apps and you have your packages. But with NPM, it's quite stressful because you need to do it directly on the package agency file. So if you are using checks, I'm not using checks on LinkedIn and those kind of stuff for now. I'm not doing that. That's why I'm skipping this. So if there's a need for that, I'm not really seeing the need for that because Convex has this beautiful end-to-end type safety. So if there's any issues, I catch it immediately. And if anything fails while I'm building, I also like catch it directly from my CI/CD. So I really don't see a need for using it yet. Alright, so after you do that, like me, I skipped this, I didn't do this, as well as this one. All these are really not necessary. Then what you just have to do is to configure turborepo. So the way to configure turborepo, I think they have that on their own documentation. And yeah, so this is it. But theirs is quite minimal. So you just create a turbo.json, and this is necessary. It's very, very necessary because this is what the build depends on. So as you can see, it depends on build. Then I still added the check types and the linting as well. So anytime I add this, both of them is going to kick in immediately. Alright, so once you've done that, if you're using Convex, this is where things get a little bit messy. So if you're using Convex, you are going to like run into multiple errors immediately. Like I said, Convex has this end-to-end type safety, but if you're using another different service, you should be fine. If you are using TypeScript, I don't know if you are using TypeScript, but if you are using TypeScript, you should be able to catch the errors that are coming in. But the errors are just file path errors, not that you have a problem with each of the files themselves. So mine was this generated. So what I just did, if you're using Convex, you go to your web version. I think, alright, I think is the ts.config on the web version. Yeah. So I just added this folder. I just specify the backend folder right here, and I also did right here, so that when I'm importing in cases like this where it's being used, so initially I had errors there, still the same part, so I had to like re-import them again. So I did it for almost all the files, but it wasn't that stressful because I knew where all the issues were, so it didn't take that long to do it manually. So I just realized that I am 36 minutes into recording and I still have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, this video is just for one or two persons that might find it helpful. Okay, so once you've done all that, the only issues I feel you should be getting is folder path, and the folder path issue is directly from your own backend that you are using. So whatever you're using for your backend. And again, like I said, the reason why I'm going through this stress is that I'm using Convex, and Convex endpoint is on a folder. So I don't want to have the same folder, this convex folder on a separate repo, then have it on this particular repo. It's just going to make everything look like a mess. So if yours is different, you might not even need a monorepo in your case. But just FYI, if you need it, this video is right here for you. Alright, so once you have that set up, the only thing you need to do now is to change to PNPM. Like, I will urge you to change to PNPM because it's quite faster and it works very well with turborepo. I think they even made it like the default when importing, so it's obviously the first one. Usually it's NPM. You can see NPM is third, and I don't know, Born is actually the fastest. It should be the first though, but that's about that. So in order for you to do that, first of all, I already have PNPM installed on my machine globally, but first thing to do is to install to PNPM, or rather install PNPM. Then you just have to run all this to like delete all your package.json and new node modules folders, all these ones. Then basically you create this file, which is this one right here, and paste this in. Then also you need to update your own package.json file, the root one, which is this one. So it gave me 9.0, but I ran into an issue. I had to like upgrade to 10.00 before it could work. So that's why I say you should always go through every code. As you can see, the version of Turbo is 2.3.3, but I had to upgrade to 2.6.1. Alright, so you also need to make the same changes to your package.json file on your web, and you also need to do it on your backend as well, because the backend has its own its own package.json file as well to run on your convex stuff and all. So what you do again is that, since you don't need to do this whole custom setup on convex, unlike others like Postgres and all with Neon DB, and I don't want to start talking about those stuff. But with convex, if you already have like an existing project, all you just need is this .env file. So once you have everything imported, so you can even just give this whole env file to your teammate. Once they have that file, convex is just going to know the exact project. So it's not going to walk you through any complex setup. They just need to log in. Once they log in, create account if you don't have an account, they are just into the project. So it's really, really straightforward. So once you have this env file and you like run the package.json file, it's going to just spit out everything right here. Or you install it, it's going to bring out everything right here, as if nothing ever had changed. The only difference is that you now have your own convex stuff on its own folder. Also, if you have like my case deployed a YAML file, you need to still update it to match the PNPM dependencies as well if you're using NPM. So you need to do it here. And once you've successfully like fixed any errors, like I said, the only errors you should be having, especially if you're using convex, is the path errors. And the way to fix that I showed you is to go to the ts config on your web and just do it like so. So add it. For the mobile, in case if you still run into the same errors, it should be very, very similar. It shouldn't be complicated as well, because what you have for the web, it should be very similar for what you have for mobile. Okay, so what you need to do next is what I did rather. If I go to, let me open my terminal fully and let me go to my package.json file. I think I'm already there. So you should try and do two things. First of all, just do pnpm pm dev. So this is the first one you run. What this does is that it creates two workspaces for you. So if you add the mobile as well, it's going to add the mobile right here. So it's going to run three of them simultaneously. So this is my web, and it's currently, as you can see, it's currently running. So if I can switch to my backend right here using convex. Alright, so my convex function is ready, so I can go like toggle between them. So the two are running fine. Then another way for you to like finalize before deploying to Vercel or Netlify, whatever you're using. So I'll clear my screen and just do like pm build. So this is where you are going to see all the issues that's happening. As you can see, the build is just for the web, so it's not going to build convex. So the way I set mine up is that convex is only going to build when I'm like deploying directly to Vercel. So it's going to build all this. This is going to work for me. I'm not going to wait till everything works, but it's going to bundle everything. And the application also has like a progressive web app as well aside the mobile app. So you can tell that the application is quite a big one. And I promise I'm going to show you the application, but you know what? I'm going to keep to my promise. So I'm going to just close this out and do like pm let me see, I think it's web dev. Was it this? Let me check. Okay, dev and web. So let me just run just the dev. Alright, so let me go and open this on port 3000. Alright guys, so this is the application and it's called Central. My PC is really like very low, so my stuff might lag a bit. So it's an event management platform for hosting events. So it's kind of like Luma, but it's much better. It has much features. I don't want to sign in right now, so I don't want to go through all those also. But this is like the local development. So it's in production for the on the main website. I don't share it right now, but the main website, people have events going on right now and the data are different. And it's also one cool thing I love about Converse, because you have your own dev stuff separate and you have production stuff separate. Alright guys, so that's the size of the video. I hope you were able to learn a bit of, at least you now know what a Monorepo is and how turborepo complements it. I'm going to study more about it, and the more I implement to my own application, the more I'm going to show you guys how it works. And also, if you found any part confusing, let me know in the comments, and also let me know if I should do a dedicated video for a particular section, or I should even like practicalize it. I should create like a normal repo, then migrate to a monorepo. But just the difference between that and this one is that that would be a bit easier because the code base will be very, very little, unlike what I have right here. If you found the video helpful, do it to leave a like, share, and subscribe. See you on the next video.